Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Cioffi on what's been a very interesting Saturday, to say the least, at least around the New Jersey, New York City, Hudson Valley, and Long Island area. We got hit with some very heavy rains, and some areas still continue to see some very heavy rains. And we're going to talk about that. We'll take a look at what the tropics are doing and give a view of maybe the long range and the short range, because we still have some more wet weather to go. Let me just say right off the top, it is coming up on 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, so the radars and much of the real-time data, quote unquote, that you'll be seeing is not going to be real-time if you're watching this on a replay later on tonight. So as far as severe weather and additional warnings are concerned, please check with your local National Weather Service office, which you can go get by going to weather.gov and then just clicking on the map where your particular location is, and you'll get your local National Weather Service also. Also, the maps that you see tonight, the model maps, are courtesy of Tropical Tidbits, a great website with all sorts of stuff on there for you weather enthusiasts and those of you who are getting into the game, and you can access that by going to tropicaltidbits.com. And of course, not that we have any tropical storms or hurricanes running around, because we don't, but in the event that we do, please be advised that your go-to place for information is going to be nhc.noaa.gov and your local National Weather Service office and your local government officials to help you by giving you the information you need to make the decisions that are vital to you. Now, let's begin tonight. We are going to start, I want to start off with the rainfall estimates off the Doppler radar, and they were substantial. And by the way, we're still counting these. We're not there yet as far as the totals, because there's still rain going on this evening. And here's a little wider. You see the scale, it's a little tight, but when you start to get into the red areas, we're talking 3.5 inches or higher. And the rain occurred in two stages. There were some areas like central and rather eastern Long Island that got hit with some very heavy rains early this morning. Up to New York, which is east of me by about 20 miles, has gotten over 5 inches of rain since yesterday evening. And there hasn't been that much rain on Long Island today, more so as you go west into Nassau County, less so into Suffolk. Now, going west in and around the New York City area, you see a large area that is showing 3 to 5 inch rainfall amounts. And we have a number of flash flood warnings and flood warnings that are up at the moment because the radar is still dumping rain in those areas. And we're going to go now to the radar view of the Northeast, and it is busy, no question about it. You've got quite a bit of downpour and thunderstorm activity still going on in northeastern New Jersey and in the Hudson Valley and moving into southwestern Connecticut. The southern edge of that is kind of weak. We also had some rains that moved through central New Jersey this afternoon earlier, and there were some severe thunderstorm warnings that were running around in parts of southern New Jersey and southeastern PA, and there's some action going on right now with some heavy downpours and thunderstorms in northern Delaware and over parts of eastern Pennsylvania. So this is the second surge. The first surge from this morning, you can see where that is at the moment. That is up in central and northern New England, moving away to the northeast. That rain up there, more of the overrunning type at this point. We're getting more of that convective tropical type here. Just insane in some places in terms of the rain amounts that we've seen. I've got a few numbers. We'll punch that up now on the map. These are 24-hour rainfall total amounts, and obviously we don't have every spot, and I'm sure there are going to be some spots that were higher, but where we have those dark greens here up in northern New Jersey, we're talking flash flood warnings up all in these areas here, and the rainfall amounts have been on the order of about 3 to 5 inches and counting. The rain amounts further to the north, a bit less, but they're getting into it now. So there are some 2 to 3 inch amounts over parts of the Hudson Valley. Long Island, as we said, those overnight rains hitting areas on the eastern part of the island with 2 to 3 inches in some places, but most of the rainfall amounts have been relatively tame and under 3/4 of an inch. There may be some additional downpours to deal with overnight and into Sunday. And I'll just move down into southern New Jersey, where some of the reported rainfall amounts here aren't all that impressive. But then we start to get into some bigger amounts into southeastern PA. We still have a large portion of the northern and mid-Atlantic states and in the Northeast with flash flood watches that are going to continue. Down into Delaware right now, where you see the yellows here, these are various special marine warnings. And we also, by the way, have coastal flood advisories up with the new moon and this southeast wind that we've had. It hasn't been much of a wind, but during this entire week, the wind along the East Coast has either been south or south-southeast. So water levels are pretty high to begin with, and a lot of that water got trapped. Even with the northwest wind in some areas over the last 2 days, apparently it wasn't enough to get some of that water out as the tide with the approaching new moon. So it's definitely problematic. Now, with respect to some of the local radar views, we'll come back here. I'm going to come back to the radar, and we'll go to some of the views at the moment. So it looks like the rain is lightened up in New Jersey, raining hard over parts of the Hudson Valley, on up into southwestern Connecticut. Little bit of rain activity over central Long Island at the moment, but you've got a lot of areas now where things have improved. Still raining in and around New York City, probably still raining hard in some places, and also getting some rains down in southwest Jersey and southeastern PA, where we have that second area of flash flood warnings that are up. So this is all thanks to that wonderful little upper low that we've been monitoring now for days and days and days. And here we got, hang on, I'm going to bring it up there. So here's the upper air for late this afternoon on the GFS. The trough is beginning to stretch in the east, and you can see how this cutoff low forms. We say it's cut off. You see how it's closed off here? The height lines go completely around it. It's like a surface low, but we're looking at 18,000 feet. And the winds around it are counterclockwise. So you're getting a south-southwest flow. There's an upper high off the East Coast. So you're getting the south-southwest flow around up the East Coast and around that upper low. So that is pulling in all this tropical moisture. If you follow the jet stream from the northwest and then running it across southern Canada, the stronger winds in the upper atmosphere are up in Canada. So this thing at the moment is kind of locked away in its own little world, and it doesn't really have any kind of mechanism to kick it out. But moving into Monday night, the light blue that's up at the top of the frame there, more toward over the center left, that is the next shortwave trough. And that basically acts like the football player punting the ball. It's going to kick this system in the east out and away. And it looks like it's doing it a little bit faster so that it's out of the way by Wednesday morning. It's moving out. So perhaps the frequent downpours that we're likely to see Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, that will be it. And we'll go to more widely scattered stuff toward the end of next week. But I just want to point out, at least for Monday and for Tuesday, with the position of this upper low where it is, and the strength of it, I think you're going to have some pretty wicked downpours in some places from the northern mid-Atlantic on up maybe into southern New England. I'm not exactly sure where. We're likely to see some heavy downpours kind of cluster around in a few places. And weather models are not going to be particularly useful with this because they're going to be sort of all over the place. So I kind of want to wait until we get into at least Sunday night or Monday to evaluate where the heavier rains might be. But certainly we could have additional rainfall amounts that would double what has already fallen. So that's something to bear in mind, that there's probably going to be more flash flooding issues over the next 3 days in the northern mid-Atlantic and on up into at least the southern areas of the Northeast. Now, once that gets kicked out, we're going to see another shortwave trough form. Another upper low tries to actually drop into the eastern lakes by the end of the week. Fortunately, there's enough of a northern jet that gets involved that it just gets kicked along. So at least we're not going to have something that's going to cut off again and then sit around for days and days and days. So weather systems at least on the move would be a good thing. It keeps things from getting too hot for too long, and it also keeps the rain down, and it keeps it at a minimum. In the longer range, we do have a stronger shortwave trough that models are signaling coming down into the Midwest, but it lifts up. So we don't really get, we'll probably get a little bit of humidity relief next week for a day or two, but that might be about it, because we really need those westerlies in Canada to come down much further south in order to bring a significant push of dry air, and that just doesn't really seem to be in the cards, at least at this point. Now, with respect to how this all looks on the ground, take a look at the surface map. And there you have it on the GFS here. This is for this afternoon, of course, and you know, the GFS. There is a surface wave that actually develops near Delaware. Some of the models handle this by lifting it up northward during the day tomorrow, but the GFS just kind of leaves it in near Chesapeake Bay or Eastern Virginia because of the upper low cutting off. It might stretch out where some of the lower pressure may try to move northward, but there'll still be some evidence of lower pressure close to where the upper low wants to be. And this is going to generate more downpours and thunderstorms around on Sunday. GFS seems to be handling this thing pretty well. And in the darker greens, you know, you're talking about another round of convective bursts during the day Sunday, just inland of the coast, it seems. And then we get a bit of a break at night, and then they fire up again on Monday. Again, Monday's the day I'm a little concerned about with that upper low, that somebody's going to wind up with some significant rain here, anywhere from central and eastern Pennsylvania down to southern New England, and then southward to the northern mid-Atlantic states. Tuesday, same idea, but we're now in the process of starting to kick this upper low out of here so that it does get a bit better on Wednesday. Doesn't actually show any kind of rain on Wednesday, which would be nice. And then Thursday into Friday, we have a weather front that's going to try to approach, and looks like maybe some more showers and storms late Friday into Friday night. And next weekend, here's a little bit of a push of drier air. Might be similar to what we experienced a day or two ago on Thursday, where the dew points came down a little bit, but it doesn't really cool off all that much. And then out that goes, and back comes the onshore flow early next week. At least it's trying, until a more important front comes through, or tries to come through later next week. But again, because of the fact that the westerlies in the upper atmosphere never get far enough south, you're going to wind up not getting much of a cool down here. Maybe a brief humidity break, and that would be about it. So it's pretty much the same story going forward. Rainfall amounts. And we'll take a look at, we'll go in the east. I'm going to go tight on the northeast here so we can, and this of course is way out in the long range. So I'm just going to go out to, so this will cover us through Tuesday. So this would be additional rainfall. Some of this afternoon's rains are included in this, but you can see that the GFS at least piles on another 2 to 3, 4 inches. And models, as we know, in these convective situations, really do tend to underdo the amount of rain. There's always going to be some locally higher amounts. Down in an area that's important, by the way, that we want to address, and that is West Virginia and Western Virginia, because of the fact that this area here in the Mid-Atlantic has really been soaked with a lot of rain in the last 2 months. And at least this time around, it seems as if, yeah, there will be some rains and some thunderstorms to deal with, but it's not going to be of the type that is happening to the north and east. Because of this upper trough is a little further east. The plus side here is the fact that the western edge of the rain is also a bit further east, so it kind of puts them in a better area. The best thing that would be the best thing that would happen would be that if it would just not rain at all there, but that is going to be tough to do in this really moist tropical flow. And going out at least through this week, I'll just take it out 7 days. The rains continue to be, most of this is going to be front end loaded. In other words, we're talking about the first part of the week with the Northeast, but much of the nation, I guess, produce much of the eastern part of the U.S. Getting in on convective rains and thunderstorms, and you've got a few max areas. The other big area is with the system in the southern plains back through Texas, and we're seeing some big rain amounts being produced in parts of Oklahoma on the order of 8 inches, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain there in that small little area that you see in the central part of the state, with 2 to 4 inch rains into Arkansas, western Tennessee, northwestern Mississippi, and on up through the eastern half of Kansas and southeastern Nebraska. So August is a month where you get these, you get involved with a lot of tropical air, and under certain situations, you can put down a whole lot of rain very, very fast. We are obviously seeing one of those types of setups here, and until we get a wholesale pattern change of some kind, where the systems in Canada start dropping further south, it's there's not going to be a big break. It just seems to want to be. It just seems to want to be one after another. Here's the upper air for the North America. You can see that trough cutting off in the east, lifts out, gets kicked away, and then as we go on into next week, that shortwave trough, another one, energizes up in the northern plains, but lifts up to the west and north. You still have some westerlies in the atmosphere trying to drop southward, but that ridge in the Atlantic is not that strong. It's east-west, but there's just enough of it to keep the stronger upper air winds further north, and that I think that's where we're going with this. I haven't given the European a look today, and it looks like, at least with that, what the GFS does, the European still, I think, offers some hope that maybe those westerlies could get down and that we could get a decent shot of drier and slightly cooler air. But I can't see beyond day 10, and European hasn't exactly been hitting home runs with all of this lately. Now, as far as the tropics are concerned, the Atlantic tropics continue to remain very quiet. If you look down east, go from the coast of South America out to the African coast, we do have some areas of showers and thunderstorms that have developed, but they peak out in the day and they tend to weaken at night. So there are a couple of weak tropical waves that are out there, but the Hurricane Center is not really putting much into one that's sitting out right in the middle here. The flare-up comes and goes. We still don't have conditions that would be conducive for tropical storm development here. So that part of it goes on. It appears as if the tropics are going to remain relatively inactive for a while. So I'm on the board with you guys. Kind of a quiet evening here. I guess everybody's running around trying to do something tonight. But giving a big hello to everybody. Phil from Central New Jersey. Cloma, I can't read that, pronounce that second part of your name. Live in northern New Jersey, and my whole entire street is flooded. Basement is filled with water. You got hit very hard this afternoon with some of those heavy rain. There's no doubt about it. Waterproofing your basement, I guess, Phil, was a good idea, as you said. Jimmy Hayden from Maryland. Alcina is on tonight. What's the difference between a flood warning and a flash flood warning? A flood warning usually pertains to when rivers and streams overflow. And the flash flood warning is rainfall produced. That's the primary difference. At least with the flood warning, you can kind of see it coming. It's not something that necessarily happens right away. It takes time over a course of days or many days. And certainly rivers and streams in many inland areas are quite high. and that's where those flood warnings come out. Now, the flash flood warning, you get very heavy rains, you get several inches of rain in a very, very short period of time, and suddenly you get rivers, streams, and they just flood very, very quickly. And that is that's the primary difference between the two. And flash flooding is the number one weather killer, more than lightning. That's why they use the saying, they say, turn around, don't drown, when you approach a flooded roadway, because you don't really know how deep it is. And many people have chanced it and have lost their lives because they find themselves then in many feet of water, not realizing how deep it is. Never mind all the other things that could be going on, live wires, in some parts of the country, snakes, alligators, whatever. That's why you don't want to mess with that sort of thing. All right, folks, going to leave it right here. Everybody's away tonight, and rightfully so, because it's a Saturday. So it's time for all to enjoy, even if the weather is not permitting you to do so. We will probably not be live streaming tomorrow, because I'm going to be running around and I have a few things to do. So I'm probably not going to be able to do a live stream tomorrow. But you can check all the latest updates on my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Cioffi, or on the website, meteorologistjoecioffi.com. And just as a reminder, there's this link to Amazon and Ebates on the description of this video, and on if you're watching this later on, we are a participant in the Amazon and Ebates affiliate advertising program, and those programs are designed for a means for this channel to earn fees from Amazon and Ebates by linking to their website. Thank you very much for those of you who have used it, and have a great evening. We will see you tomorrow. Maybe.